It was a cold evening in Los Angeles. The city lights sparkled, and people bustled about, busy with their own lives. But even in that sea of humanity, some remain invisible, people who go unnoticed, their existence merely a shadow on the street. At the corner of a street, in front of an old building, sat a teenage girl. She couldn't have been more than 18. She wore a torn sweater and held an old cup in her hand. A small sentence was written on the ground before her. "Help me, I'm hungry." The girl sat quietly, not looking at anyone, only occasionally lowering her head and extending the cup forward. The girl's name was Eliza. Just a few months ago, her life had been different. She had a family, friends, school, everything, but a terrible accident changed it all. The death of her father, her mother's illness, and crippling financial hardship pushed her onto the streets. That day was different. A major film premiere was underway in Los Angeles. Hollywood stars dressed in glamorous attire were arriving on the red carpet. Fans cheered ecstatically, and the night was illuminated by the flashes of photographers' cameras. Eliza was sitting near the street where the crowd had gathered. Her eyes were tired, her body trembling with hunger. Just then a car stopped. Tom Cruise, the world-famous actor, stepped out of a black sud, and a wave of excitement instantly spread through the crowd. People rushed to take his picture, but Tom Cruise's eyes drifted elsewhere. He noticed the girl sitting at the corner of the street. Amidst the massive crowd and countless cameras, she was silent and alone. Her eyes held a pain that couldn't be captured even in a movie scene. Tom paused. The fans watched in amazement as he walked directly toward Eliza. "Wait, are you okay?" Tom asked in a gentle voice. Eliza looked up. It had been a long time since anyone in this crowd had spoken directly to her. At first, she couldn't believe it. Standing before her was a man the whole world knew. I just need a little help for food," the girl said in a trembling voice. Tom's gaze fell on the old cup in her hand. Then, suddenly, he noticed something else. On the girl's wrist was an old bracelet. It was very simple, but a small name was engraved on it. Rebecca. Tom froze. A few years ago, he had visited an orphanage for charity work, where he had seen a little girl with an identical bracelet. She had smiled sweetly at him and said, "One day, I'll be strong." Tom realized this might not be a coincidence. "What's your name?" he asked again. "Eliza," the girl replied. "But this is my mother's bracelet. My mom gave it to me." Questions swirled in Tom's mind. What was this girl's stories? Why was she on the street? And how did she come to have the bracelet that reminded him of the little girl from the orphanage? In that moment, Tom Cruise made a decision that would not only change his life, but also alter the destiny of this girl. Tom Cruise stood silently for a moment. The shouts of fans, the flash of cameras, the microphones of journalists. It was a chaotic scene, but his gaze was fixed only on Eliza. It was as if the world around them had faded away, leaving only the face of a helpless girl. "Let's go, not here. You must be uncomfortable in this crowd," Tom said in a calm voice. Eliza stared in astonishment. She couldn't believe that Hollywood's most popular star was reaching out to her like this. Her throat was dry, and tears welled up in her eyes. I don't want to bother you," Eliza said in a shaky voice. "You are not bothering me." Tom gave a soft smile. "Instead, you are giving me a chance to do something as a human being." At that moment, Tom signaled to one of his assistants. Together, they gently guided Eliza out of the crowd. The journalists captured this strange scene on their cameras. The next day's headlines would surely read, "Tom Cruise stops for a homeless girl during premiere." But Tom wasn't worried about that. Something else was on his mind. They went to a quiet cafe and sat down. The cafe was nearly empty, far from the hustle and bustle of the crowd, Tom took off his coat and draped it over Eliza's shoulders. The girl felt awkward at first, but she found a kind of comfort in its warmth. A waiter came to take their order. Tom simply said, "Get her whatever she wants to eat." Eliza hesitated, and then softly said, "A soup and some bread." Tom smiled and said, "You could have asked for much more, you know." The girl looked down and replied, "I've learned to get used to asking for less." A pang of sorrow hit Tom. Such a young girl, yet life's harsh realities had taught her this. After the food arrived, Eliza began to eat slowly. Each spoonful seemed to bring a little light back into her eyes. Tom watched her silently, a promise forming within him. "So, tell me, Eliza," Tom began in a gentle tone, "how did you end up here?" Eliza was quiet for a moment. Then she slowly began to speak. "We had a small house. My father was a construction worker. One day, there was an accident at his work site. He never came back. My mother fell ill. Hospital bills, rent, we couldn't keep up with it all. I was forced to drop out of school. My mother always told me to be strong, but a few months ago she passed away too. By now." Tears were streaming down the girl's face. "I don't know why I'm still here," Eliza said in a shaky voice. "It feels like I've become invisible. People don't see me. I just beg to survive." Tom listened intently. His eyes fell on the bracelet again. Engraved on it was the name Rebecca. "Is that your mother's name?" Tom suddenly asked. Eliza nodded. "Yes. Mom used to say that as long as this was on my wrist, I would never be alone." Tom took a soft breath. The memory of the orphanage resurfaced. A little girl, with bright eyes, and this very same bracelet on her wrist. "You know," Tom said slowly, "I once saw a little girl in an orphanage. She had a bracelet just like this one. I promised myself then that if I ever got the chance, I would do something for her." Eliza looked up, surprised. It felt as if fate was playing a strange game. "If you'll let me, I'd walk to help you," Tom finally said. Eliza was stunned. Her eyes filled with wonder, her voice with disbelief. "Help? But I'm just a stranger. Why would you?" Tom stopped her. "Because I see something in you that I don't want to see lost. Hope, strength, something you may not believe in right now, but it's there." A warmth spread through Eliza's chest. For the first time in a long time, she felt that maybe she wasn't truly alone. But she didn't know that this decision would not only change her life, but also uncover truths she had never imagined. The night had grown deep. The streets of Los Angeles were still bright, but inside the quiet cafe, a strange intensity had formed. Eliza was slowly finishing her soup, and Tom Cruise was watching her quietly. He felt that this girl's story was not just a tale of sorrow, there was a hidden mystery within it. After the meal, Tom asked, "Eliza, where do you stay?" The girl lowered her head and replied, "Nowhere. I sleep on the streets. Sometimes I find a spot in a shelter, but most of the time, the sidewalk is my bed." Tom's heart ached. Such a young girl, fighting alone against the inhumanity of this vast city. "You won't be alone tonight," Tom said in a firm voice. Eliza looked up, shocked. "But I don't want to be a burden to you." "A burden?" Tom laughed. "You are not a burden, you are a responsibility. And we are human only when we take responsibility for others." Tom gave some instructions to his assistant over the phone. Within minutes, a car pulled up in front of the cafe. Eliza asked nervously, "Where are you taking me?" Tom looked at her and said calmly, "To a safe place. First, you'll take a hot shower, put on some clean clothes, and then you can rest. Tomorrow, we'll figure out how to start your life anew." Eliza's eyes welled up. She couldn't believe that the man she had only ever seen on a movie screen was now giving her shelter. The car started moving. Eliza looked out the window. The city lights were dazzling, but for the first time, she felt as if their light was truly reaching her. A short while later, the car stopped. Toon took her inside a luxurious hotel. Everyone at the reception stared in surprise. The world-famous star had suddenly appeared with an unknown, disheveled girl, but Tom's presence was so commanding that no one dared to ask any questions. Leading her into a suite, Tom said, "This room is yours for the night." Eliza looked around, stunned. A soft bed, bright lights, a hot shower, it all felt like a dream. I don't deserve a place like this," she said softly. Tom walked closer and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Listen, never think that you were unworthy. Life has been hard on you, but that doesn't mean you are any less. You are valuable, Eliza." Tears streamed down the girl's face. After so long, she felt that someone truly valued her. Tom smiled. "Now, get some rest. We'll start fresh tomorrow." He was heading for the door, but Eliza suddenly called out, "Wait a minute." Tom stopped. "Why are you doing this? I'm just a stranger. You could have just walked past me." Tom remained silent for a moment. Then he slowly said, "Because I made a promise a long time ago. I once saw the same pain in a little girl's eyes. I thought that if I ever got the chance, I wouldn't let anyone get lost in that darkness again." Eliza stared at him wordlessly. In that moment, a strange belief was born within her. Perhaps a new chapter of her life was truly about to begin. But she didn't know that this very night would be the start of a journey where the secret mysteries of her past would slowly be revealed, and that mystery would entangle not just her, but Tom as well. In an unexpected truth, Eliza spent the night as if in a dream. She hadn't experienced such a soft bed, such warmth, in a very long time. Outside the window, the city lights twinkled. Yet, for the first time, she felt safe. Before closing her eyes, she clutched her bracelet tightly, as if she could feel her mother's touch again. In the morning, she was awakened by a soft knock on the door. When she opened it, a hotel attendant entered with a tray at breakfast, fruit, milk, and coffee. "Mr. Cruz sent this for you," he said politely. Tears came to Eliza's eyes. After so long, the feeling of someone thinking of her was unfamiliar. A little while later, Tom arrived. He was dressed in a white shirt and a casual jacket, no trace of tiredness in his eyes, but a calm resolve. "How did you sleep?" He smiled. "After a very long time." It was the first time I slept without fear," Eliza said softly. Tom sat down at the table. "Today we are going to a few places, but before we go, I want you to tell me everything, the whole story." Eliza hesitated for a moment. Then, she slowly unveiled the dark chapter of her past. She told him how her father died in an accident, how all their savings were depleted due to her mother's illness, and how they lost their home. After her mother's death, Eliza ended up on the streets, not being able to go to school, the hungry nights, the terrifying gazes of strangers on the street. It was all a consolidated nightmare inside her. Tom listened intently. Occasionally, he would lower his eyes, as if the girl's pain was piercing his heart. Suddenly, his gaze fell on the bracelet again. "Eliza, did your mother ever tell you about an orphanage?" The girl looked up, surprised. "An orphanage? No, but she used to say that when I was very young I was kept somewhere for a while because she was sick in the hospital. But I was too little. I don't remember." A storm was brewing in Tom's mind. Could this be the connection? The little girl he had seen at the orphanage, the one wearing a similar bracelet, was she the Eliza of today? Tom asked gently, "What was your mother's full name?" "Rebecca Morgan," Eliza replied. Tom's breath caught. He remembered the day he had visited the orphanage. The manager had told him, "This girl is very brave, and her mother's name is Rebecca." Everything was starting to connect. "Elisa," Tom said in a calm voice, "I think there are more mysteries in your life that you don't know about." The girl looked at him, bewildered. "What do you mean?" "I'm not certain, but perhaps your past is hiding something that could change your future." Elisa's heart pounded. After so much pain and loneliness, if there was truly a chance to learn something new, then maybe the truth behind her mother's death would also come to light. Tom stood up. "Come on, today we're going to that orphanage." A shiver ran through Elisa's body. On one hand, there was fear. On the other, a strange excitement. "Really? You will go with me?" Tom smiled and replied, "I promised I wouldn't leave you alone again." Elisa silently clutched her bracelet. It felt like it was not just a memory of her mother, but a key to her unknown destiny. The car left the city's hustle behind and headed for the outskirts. Awaiting them were strange truths that might just change her life forever. The car passed through the city and stopped in a suburb. In front of an old but clean building, this was the orphanage Tom Cruise had visited many years ago. As they entered, Elisa's heart was pounding. It was as if her unknown past was hidden within these walls. The manager, an elderly woman, welcomed them. Tom said politely, "We'd like to make an inquiry. We want to know if this girl might have stayed here for a short time as a child." The woman looked at Elisa with some surprise. Then, a look of gradual recognition appeared in her eyes. Are you Rebecca's daughter?" Elisa was stunned. "You knew my mother?" The old woman nodded. "Yes. Your mother was a very brave woman. She left you here to save you during a time of great hardship. It was difficult for her to afford treatment. She would often cry, but she would say, 'My daughter will see the light one day.'" Elisa's eyes filled with tears. All this time, she thought her mother might have abandoned her, but today she understood she had done it to save her. Tom asked the manager, "Are there any records here?" The woman sifted through some files and pulled out a thin document. It read, "Child, Elisa Morgan, guardian, Rebecca Morgan." There was something else inside the file, a letter written on yellowed paper. "Your mother left this," the old woman said. Elisa took the paper with trembling hands. It read, "If this letter ever reaches my daughter, let her know that I never left her. I loved her more than my own life. If I don't survive, I want my daughter to grow up strong. I know that one day, someone will find her, someone who will believe in her. Her bracelet will be her identity." After reading the letter, Elisa broke down. Tom came forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "See," he said in a soft voice, "you were never alone. Your mother was always with you." Elisa wiped her eyes and said, "I never knew you all this time. I thought I was lost. But now it feels like I've found myself again." Tom smiled gently. "Now, a new beginning awaits you." A few weeks passed. With Tom's help, Elisa started a new life. Tom helped her recover her mother's modest assets through a lawyer. He enrolled Elisa back in school and arranged for counseling to help her overcome her trauma. The news spread through the media. Tom Cruise helps homeless girl finds her lost past. But Tom never sought publicity for it. He always told reporters, "This ain't my story. This is Elisa's story. She is the real hero." Gradually, Elisa regained her confidence. Alongside her studies, she got involved in social work, starting to help other homeless children in the city. One day, Tom asked her, "Elisa, what do you want to do in the future?" A look of determination shone in the girl's eyes. "I don't want any other child to sleep on the streets like I did. I want to build a place where they can be safe and get an education." Tom smiled gently. I will be by your side. Eliza touched her bracelet and said, This was my mother's dream that I would become strong. Today, I know I am not alone. My mother is with me and you are with me. Tom looked at her and said, Today, you reminded me that the real work in life isn't making movies, it's saving people. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow all around. Eliza and Tom stood on the precipice of a new future. The girl who was once lost on the streets had now become a symbol of hope. And it all began with a single moment the day a famous man stopped in the middle of a crowd because he noticed a small, tired girl